Garlic is a platformer that came out of nowhere for me. I only noticed it when I put together my monthly new games coming to the Switch video earlier this month, but it immediately piqued my interest, a retro colour palette and a hint that there was a massive challenge ahead. Well, now I have just wrapped with it, and today we're going to be seeing if it's going to be worth your cash. My name's Alex, so this is SwitchCorner. If you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing, and let's get into it. Garlic keeps its story minimal, but it does more than enough, and that is, we are an onion-headed boy on a mission to climb a sacred tower and meet a cyber goddess who will grant us a wish. The story may be simple, but it's filled with moments that spoof classics in the genre, and it also packs a solid sense of humour. So the gameplay is really what you're coming here for, and I will admit this was quite a bit more difficult than I anticipated. It's borderline Twitch platformer, so think Super Meat Boy, but it moves beyond the single screen locations, and for the most part it focuses on side-scrolling worlds. A game with this level of challenge, it really relies on a strong control scheme, and here Garlic delivers, keeping things simple, allowing you to simply focus on mastering them. So here, movement is a single speed that is just incredibly fast. We can jump, we can dash, and from here we can kind of leverage these abilities in different ways, such as wall jumping or dashing in different directions that causes some sort of interaction, such as dashing to a wall and then upwards. It actually causes you to pause against the roof for a brief second. It's the idea basically that you can chain moves together, and it works well once you get your head around it. Now I would argue, however, there's little text in the tutorial moments, and instead it is a visual on screen that I found a little tough to translate initially. I think a simple text box may have been easier. It's also worth noting then as well, this dash doubles as an attack against enemies, and you can also jump on their heads, though that is not quite as effective. Now what I do appreciate in Garlic is, yes, many things will one-hit kill you, but some, like enemies, may just cause a temporary harm, and if you do keep out of their way, it will eventually regenerate. This is the meter in the upper left of the screen, but do also be aware the dash cannot be spammed, and when you're injured, you won't be able to use it either. Once you do get your head around all of the different controls, though, it is an entertaining scheme that gives you more than enough to overcome the obstacles ahead. As I said, this is very much skill-based. Just in the process, do expect to die a lot as you figure out how to swiftly navigate the game's slew of deadly obstacles. This is where I think Garlic succeeds the most. The level design is for the most part fantastically handled, and each location brings something unique to the gameplay. You can expect to find everything from tough platforming challenges to blades to flamethrowers to creatures that do tower over you. I must have died hundreds of times, but the game rarely felt unfair in its design. It's simply a quick ramp in difficulty. My main complaint against the levels would be just one thing, in fact, and that is checkpoints are a little all over the place. You'll run through sections that feel incredibly fair with frequent moments to save your progress, but just occasionally you'll come across an area that is huge and without, and these moments were particularly frustrating. The constant death loop really needs a little more consistency here, so when you do reload in, you're just a few seconds away from that last area and not a few minutes. Bosses, honestly, as well, they're not great in my opinion. They are fine, but they vary greatly in quality. Some, like a robot that you must attack from above, feels great, but many, they feel like the hitboxes are just a little off, and as you do dash into them, for some reason you're taking damage. It's not always particularly clear as well what you must do to take them down. A great example is a fish in the opening levels, and yet I didn't feel like their reaction to my attack really confirmed if I was doing the right thing. Thankfully though, there's one per world, and rarely did I get stuck here for too long. Between worlds then we also get some incredibly unique minigames. Again, quality varies here, but they rarely surpass 90 seconds, some of them are even optional. Think a minigame that's essentially a Space Invaders clone, one that's like a side-scrolling shooter, a 3D section of walking where you must find rubbish on the floor. There are some really strange sequences in here, honestly, but it does work with the overall attitude of the experience. The only other issue for gameplay then, I had a couple of sequences where my character actually teleported randomly, and it must be a minor glitch with the game. I only noticed it in 2 sections, but of course it was an area where I died a couple of times. Wasn't lethal either, just to a near platform I guess above me, but it was just kind of strange. Finally, it took me right around 6 hours to overcome the challenge here, but I see speedruns online as quick as a couple of hours, so that now has me wanting to go back, seeing how I can maximize the run to shave that time down. Additionally, it appears we have a few different endings to unlock. Visually then, I really like what they did with Garlic. During my early month preview of upcoming games, I noted a Game Boy-esque inspiration, but I don't feel that the trailer truly captured how impactful that overall art style is. The colour palette, first of all, changes from world to world. It's extremely simple, but it works so well at representing these different environments. Animations and locations are particularly well done as well. It's always easy to identify what is ahead, and that's always kind of a risk with a design like this. And then what elevates Garlic, in my opinion, is some of the more unusual moments, cutscenes, character reactions, and the smaller mini-games that are often presented in 3D or at least screen-filling animations, and they are incredibly entertaining. The audio work then is another winner. It's a combination of retro sound effects paired with more modern elements. So first of all, attacks, movement, it has some weight, especially the dash movement, but this is accompanied then by environmental effects as well, and I guess smaller retro sounding bleeps for brief sequences of dialogue. The music, however, it modernizes things frequently. Look, sure, you do get the chiptune you may expect, but then also you get sequences that lean more into electronic with instrumentation that's a little more complex to identify. The music is frequently catchy as well, and there's more than a few moments in here that I would be happy to listen to offline. Overall then, Garlic is a very good platformer that's been designed for those that want something with quite a bit of challenge. I don't make that comparison to games like Meat Boy lightly. This said though, it isn't without its issues, and that mainly seems to stem from the idea of combining a difficulty level that is often reserved for single screen design and combining it with something that's a little more traditional, with that side-scrolling movements. It leads basically to moments where checkpoints are simply too far from each other, and then there's a few sequences that are simply weak, namely a few of the boss encounters, the weird minor glitch I encountered, and the mini-games where quality definitely fluctuates incredibly. I went between loving them and simply putting my controller down and letting that sequence time out. I still, however, had a lot of fun though with it, and when it's working, it is incredibly easy to see how popular this could be with genre fans. So with that in mind today, it's a good 7 out of 10 from me, and the team behind this, they clearly have a huge amount of talent, and I'm excited to see what they do next. A few smaller tweaks and refreshed design thinking maybe could make this a bit of a classic. So will you be checking out Garlic? And let me know in the comments. With that, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews, deals, news and lists daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.